So this morning I want to talk about happiness. We're going to try all sorts of new things today. I think there's a little reverb on my voice. Is this one on, Rob? Okay. Let's just use the lectern one. We'll make do. So this morning we're going to talk about happiness. I had hand motions that went with it. All right. So if any of you have been around for any of the sermons that I've given, you're probably expecting a sermon on happiness to be somewhat about how depressing happiness is, right? So if that was the sermon that I was giving this morning, it would probably begin something like this. I would argue that each of us is constantly offered happiness every day, all the time. Life can be wonderful, and you can have the answers. And then secondly, I would probably argue that you are offered the freedom to pursue this happiness, that you can chase the wonder of the universe all the time. It's all around you. And finally, I'd argue that this pursuit, the pursuit of happiness, depresses us and fuels our dissatisfaction with life. So that's how I would begin if that was the sermon I was giving today, but it's not. And usually in a sermon like that, a sermon about happiness, I would suggest that the pursuit of happiness is the pursuit of some greater meaning in life, whether that meaning exists or not. I'd suggest that ultimate meaning and ultimate happiness are not that interesting. That the interesting thing about life is to experience all of it, whether it is meaningful or not. But that's not what I want to talk about today. And I'd probably, if I was giving that sermon, I would talk about love. But I'd talk about love not existing. But love not existing either. I would probably say something like, love brings things into existence. Love is what happens when we see people as people. Love brings people into our perception as beings instead of things. Love is an immersion in a meaningful experience of the world. But that's not what I want to talk about today. Okay, so what do I want to talk about today? You thought I was going to keep going with that. I'm not. I think I'd like to move past the idea of love and wonder for just a second and ask what we mean when we talk about happiness, because probably we mean different things. So I want to talk about three very broad types of happiness and set up a premise for these three kinds of happiness. So the first is the imaginary, right? So it's like a fairy tale. Say there's a poor child that grows up to be a knight that slays a dragon. It's a fantasy realm that gives us an idealized image. It's an image that we can aspire to be. So the imaginary type of happiness is one in which achieving that idealized image of ourselves is ultimate happiness. So the second one is symbolic happiness. Now the symbolic is the system that's underneath the imaginary happiness. Symbolic happiness would be like the moral of the fairy tale story. It's the child overcoming something, poverty in this case. It's elevating in society. It's killing evil, right? That is happiness in the symbolic sense. The symbolic's not concerned with knights or dragons, but it's the rules by which we judge what is and is not a happy thing in our lives. It's how we tell when we're happy, right? So the third type of happiness is the real. So the real is not in the fairy tale. The real is what challenges the imaginary and symbolic modes of happiness. So the real asks a question. It says, why is killing something, namely a dragon, something that makes us happy? Why is elevating in society something that makes us happy? The real is a question, a challenge. It is a rupture of the idealized image of ourselves. Which leads me to Walmart. You know, it's it's that corporation of love and happiness. Not really, right? Well, so Walmart is one of those examples of huge corporate greed. Like, if we were having a conversation about huge corporate greed, 9 times out of 10, Walmart will be our example. So Walmart is like, it's the antithesis of love. Walmart does not care about people. But Walmart offers happiness. Walmart's mascot is literally a happy face rolling back prices. And who would shop at the epitome of corporate greed and the antithesis of love? Ugh, right? That's disgusting. So the other day I was at Walmart to buy dog food, and I know, I'm such a hypocrite. Don't listen to anything I say. They do have some really good grain-free dog food, though, and so I was at Walmart. They're all excuses. Anyway, I'm there, and I'm just totally disgusted with the situation, right? I'm like, it's a super Walmart, so it's super horrible. They have like eye exams. They have a salon. They have a food court with a McDonald's in it, like places you can get your nails done. And and it's all of these different ways to get people just to buy, to pursue happiness. And worse, I walked past people hanging out in the salon or hanging out at the McDonald's, like just entrenched in this horrible place, you know. And I was like, this is the cathedral of the consumer, right? This is where everyone has come to worship the God of stuff and things. Walmart offers an image of happiness that we can achieve if we buy the right things. And what we find is that if we get everything we could ever want, the happiness offered in owning things is imaginary. Things won't give you happiness. But things won't not give you happiness either. So as I walked past all the people hanging out, I had to laugh at my own hypocrisy, right? Because if this were an outdoor market in Italy or Morocco, I would be like, oh, you know, this is beautiful. There are all these people having these interactions. I wouldn't have that reaction in the pit of my stomach. I would see that for many of these people, this place, despite its grimy foundations, was actually a functional site of symbolic happiness. Being with friends, relaxing for a moment, accomplishing something with the day. I mean, I was there to get dog food. Those are the symbolic messages of happiness embedded in Walmart. But then I thought, as I continued toward the dog food, why was it that I so quickly judged this place? And honestly, these people. It wasn't just Walmart as a corporation, right? And what good was it doing me to be all like angsty about what these other people were engaged in? What was really going on inside me? And why was my blood boiling as I viewed this tableau? I'll tell you why. Because I do the same exact thing. I believe that achieving an idealized image of myself will make me happy, and I believe that there are certain things that can accomplish that goal. I am constantly acting on certain symbolic messages that tell me what makes me happy or not. I believe that getting this dog food, it's a thing, and feeding my pet will make me happy. I believe that being the type of person that cares for my pet as best I know how will make me happy. So that was my encounter with the real kind of happiness, one in which my version of myself was obliterated just for a moment, and I could see past my own images and symbols to see the other. That was happiness, the imaginary, the symbolic, and the real at Walmart. Now, I want to be careful here because I'm not saying that that last mode, that third mode, is real happiness. I'm saying that that is happiness of the real. Something that happens when our images and symbols are obliterated and we can see the other for a moment. And I'd argue that we can't live there. So, on the one hand, or foot, this is going to get dangerous. So on the one hand, we have love as an immersion into a meaningful experience. So love isn't an observation of the world, but an immersion into it. And I think I've given this example before, but it's, let's say you're on a first date, and you're looking across the table into your date's eyes, and you notice the color and the shape of their eyes, and you think, those are beautiful eyes. That's different than when you look across the table into someone's eyes and you don't notice the beauty of their eyes. You notice that you are immersed in the beauty of the person. That is love. Love brings things into being. And on the other hand, or foot, if I could not remember my wife's eye color, she would be upset. And they're this brown, beautiful brown color with a little bit of golden light in them. My wife's eyes make me happy because I observe them. If she grabs my hand, I'm happy, whether I can see her or not. Happiness requires us to observe and feel the world and to be removed from it for a moment to reflect. So, should we choose love and be immersed in the world? Or should we choose happiness and reflect on it? I'm not going to try it. I was going to try it, but I'm really worried I'm going to fly off or break a window. If anybody doesn't know, this is supposed to balance. It was a really good object lesson. So yes, are we supposed to choose happiness or love? Yes. I don't have an answer this morning. I don't have any answers. I have a question. How do each and every one of us find balance? Because life is a balance between immersion and observation, between presence and reflection, between love and happiness. Blessed be.